everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happiness Matters, the show where our guests share their stories and insights to inspire you, encourage you, motivate you, and so much more. I'm your host, Beanie Man, and as usual, somewhere around in here is my awesome service dog, Mo, my co-host. And we're coming to you through Mupo TV. Thank you, Mupo. And we're brought to you every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can catch us live on Mupo TV, or you can always catch our recordings or any of the other awesome shows on Mupo TV. That is mupotv.com, www.mupotv.com. And today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce one of my newer friends to you, Fleming Schutrumpf. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. You're German. You know how to say it.
Well, yeah, but sometimes it's like that German, English, and then I screw it all up. So it's all good. So Fleming and I, we actually met, I don't know if you remember Jojo. I met Jojo at the Ultimate Speaker Competition in October here in Colorado Springs. And that's why I met you. And I have to say, you impressed me a whole lot simply by who you are and what you do. Why don't you share with our viewers a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Thank you, Beanie. First of all, I'm really impressed by you. Like, you have the spark, and you're the real deal. Like, you are truly happy. So that really, what a blessing.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Head swelling.
It still fits on the screen. You're fine. In fact, I think part of happiness is having friends who honor and respect you, and that's a beautiful thing too.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, about me, interesting. I worked in kind of corporate slavery for 18 years. I was a consultant, traveled nationally and internationally. Didn't get to see my kid very much. Like, when he was a baby, I'd come home on Friday nights and he'd be like crying, like, who is this? Like, and then I realized I needed to start taking care of, well, my son, but also of my business by kind of creating a side hustle. And for me in Colorado, real estate worked out really well. And I was able to actually get out of corporate slavery and just be a full-time entrepreneur. And then I realized, I think that heyday of real estate passed, and I was successful enough. I almost felt guilty, and I decided to share the wealth of how that we all have the potential to get out of less satisfying life situations, and that if we believe we're worthy and believe it's possible and take the right action, that amazing things can happen. So I wrote a couple of books on real estate, but I just published this one I'm really excited about. It's called The Hidden Gift of Everything.
Oh, nice.
And it's really about everything in life is to our favor. And sometimes if you think back to the worst teacher you had in school or the most challenging teacher, that was a hard class. It wasn't enjoyable, but now you still remember it. And you may have learned more than in the easy class where you didn't have to do any work. And so even the things that seem like they were a pain and a challenge often created our strength and sometimes even our joy. Like, joy comes often through adversity. I went to school actually in Germany with some Afghan refugee. And I think he had more presence and like strength of character and happiness because of what he had endured, not despite it.
Right. Well, I think a lot of times it's like when we go through hard times, we really appreciate the good times so much more because we know what the other side looks like. I know for me, it's like if something nice is happening or something good is happening, I know my happy meter goes probably way higher than most people who have not had to go without, for instance, and it's just, I really think it makes a big difference.
I think that's a really beautiful point, because I think to be happy, we can't shunt away sadness. When sadness comes up, we should feel it and experience it, and it won't last. But if we try to shunt it away, it'll like keep chasing us.
What's the saying? And I forgot who said it, but what we resist persists.
Persists. Yeah.
It's like whatever you put your focus on. So if you focus on what you don't have and the sadness and all of those things, you put all your focus, all your feelings or your emotions in that. And of course, the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, it's like, oh, that's what you want. Okay, here you go, have more.
Yes.
But when we're in that funk,
yes,
it is really hard to see the rainbow, the sunshine,
right,
the good, and it takes a lot of effort to realize. It's like, first of all, recognize you're in that funk.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, hello, now what do I do? And I tell people, it's like, don't ignore it. Don't talk down to it. Acknowledge it.
Yes.
Just acknowledge it. Don't stay there. Don't feed into it. Just acknowledge it. And my favorite thing that I learned the tool is, oh, isn't that interesting? Just say it's like, isn't that interesting? Don't analyze it. Don't nothing. It's like,
don't judge
isn't that interesting? And you just move on.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, because I think if we argue with reality, then like our reality will argue back. Like, yes, I am this way. But if we just acknowledge, like, isn't that curious? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And you do it with a smile because it changes like everything. It's like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And I think the act of some kind of action, like working out, I think depression is being really closed off and inactive, and just going outside, taking a walk, smiling at people, any kind of shifting our state will make us feel better.
Oh, yeah. And I know one of the things that you do that make people smile a lot is the business you're in, what you're doing. And I know you shared a little bit with us in our little small group at the Ultimate Speaker Competition. Why don't you just share with us a little bit about what it is that you do and how you bring people in and help them? And you just it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I think my mantra as a landlord is that I heal hurting houses, but that there's like ripples to that. So I'll buy a house that's really neglected and abandoned, and some people may have even thought it should be torn down. And my drywaller, for example, he works a full job drywalling from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that kind of pays his like day-to-day living expenses. But when he comes to work for me from 3 to like 6 or whatever, that pays to send his daughter to college. And then the people that then stand in line to rent this beautifully remodeled house are getting, and I really rent to working tenants at lower than average prices for a longer than average lease. And so it's a win-win. I don't have the tenant turns and they have a good price, but they have a beautiful place to live. And then the city gets more tax revenue, the block gets rejuvenated. People are like, oh, that house looks great. I could clean up my yard a little bit. And so there's a ripple of good things happening just through starting with some action.
No, I love that. And it's like karma. And people usually put karma in a negative connotation, which it makes my skin crawl. To me, karma, it works in all directions. And for most of the time, I tell people, it's like, it's not what goes around. I mean, yeah, what goes around comes around, but don't say it in a negative way. You do good, you get good. It works the same way.
I love that. I never see karma referenced in a positive way. That's great. Thank you.
Well, karma is neutral. It's like whatever you put out, you get back. What goes around comes around.
Yes.
But instead of putting the negative connotation on it, I tell people, it's like, hey, it's really simple. You do good, you get good. You screw up, well, guess what? But you do good, you get good. And what you are doing is beyond good, because I mean, especially here in Colorado, and I know in Denver, the rental prices are through the roof.
Yes.
It is absolutely insane. And we so desperately need that affordable housing for those people with their families, who don't have the 6-figure income, all of that, but they do deserve to live in a nice place. They do deserve to have this beautiful home that they can afford and feel safe in and feel the love.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, so when you shared that with us, I was like, I love you so much.
Thank you.
We need more of you. We need more Flemings out there.
Thank you. I loved your comment on karma. The other day I was at a 4-way stop, and the person like on the other side they waved to me like they knew me and they let me go first, even though it was their turn. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I started doing that to other people and I had the most delightful day, just treating people like I knew them and letting them ahead. And it created this ripple. This person created this ripple of good things that
Right.
I helped
And that's what
propagate.
it is. It's like it all starts with us. I mean, we really are. I mean, you are, I am, and you guys, the viewer, you are the center of your universe. I'm not saying the universe. I'm saying your universe. And the reflection without is a reflection from within. So when you come from a happy place, you act happy. You show more kindness, you show more compassion, you do all of those good things. And you never know what difference you make for somebody. I have people reach out to me all the time. It's like, you know what? Thank you so much for a post that I posted, or I just give them a smile. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I needed that. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. And let somebody, if you realize they're in a hurry, let them be in front of you. Let them cut in front of you. Wish them a nice day. Smile at them. Say, hey, you know what? I can see you're in a hurry. Go ahead.
That's huge. That we
It
need
doesn't
more.
take you anything. It takes what, two more seconds? And I understand sometimes we are in a hurry and we're like, oh my gosh, I really got to go to this,
Yes.
But it's like, stop for a second and think. It's like, you know what? It would be nice if somebody would let me in. And if that doesn't happen, let somebody else go in front of you. Or like you said, wave at somebody, like that person at the intersection. I mean, what a nice thing to do. And like you said, it's a ripple effect. You never know how many people that touches and how many people you touch that pay it forward.
What you just said about the hurry was an interesting one because I was at an airport, actually in Germany, and it was like during COVID, pretty disorganized. And I was late for a flight, and so was this other couple. But they were kind of mean about how they're like, we're late and we have to go ahead. And people really resisted. And we're not very friendly in letting them ahead. And I'm like, I know we're all trying to get through this, but my flight's about to leave in 10 minutes. Could you please let me ahead? And just the asking is really powerful. If we don't ask, we don't get. But then the how we ask is also very determinant.
Oh, absolutely. You're so right. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. I'm here with Fleming Schutrumpf. I can't, even in German, I trip over my own tongue, so it's all good. It's Fleming. So, so Fleming actually contributed a story for the upcoming book series, the Happiness Matters book series, which goes along with the show, stories of inspiration and encouragement, motivation, and more. And the story you shared actually took also place. Was it at the same time at that same airport, or was it a different time?
Different time.
Oh, okay. Do you want to share with us about that story? Because I think it's beautiful and I love it.
Thank you, Beanie. Yeah, and we're both German, and I think as Germans we understand, and I love Germany, and I love German food, and I miss it. But German humor is different, and there's a bit of a like rules are more serious in Germany, and so. I was leaving Germany with a good friend of mine, and that time I wasn't in a rush, so we had time to eat before getting to my gate. And there's a Bavarian restaurant at the airport, and it looked promising. And so we tried to go in through the beer garden entrance, and there was some guy like yelling at people like, "We're not open yet," and like telling them to go away. And we're like, huh. And then we went inside the terminal, entered there, and it was open. And so there was nobody to greet us. So we sat down at a table, and then somebody came over, like, you can't sit there, sit over at this like beer bench there was like another couple there. And the restaurant's empty. Like, why do we have to sit with other people? And so I like, please, can we sit over there? And this other waitress came over and she's like, sure. But it was like lots of false starts and then we had to wait for the menu. And then it was just, the service was lacking.
Mm-hmm.
But finally the friendly waitress came back, and she had a sense of humor that was somewhat rare, but it transformed everything.
Well, and that's the thing. Humor, if you come with humor, with a smile, it deflates the most dire and, most tense situation, I find.
Yes. And I think it was like the last evening, like sitting with a good friend, and I didn't want to spoil the experience. So I really wanted to be a good experience. And there was all these impediments to it, like being what I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a little
You mean you had expectations?
I did. I had
Okay.
a desire for an outcome that maybe reality wasn't fully fostering, but then also we have power over the outcome.
Right.
And so there's a German dish, Schweinshaxe, so like the pork knuckle, and it's, I don't know if it's
it's so good.
It's
with the
crispy.
Potato dumplings with the cloves and
Exactly.
Yum.
Sauce. Yes. But we joked about, like, I wanted that pureed, and she's like, sure, we'll do that, and like extra crispy but pureed. And so there was laughter about the order, and just like changing that energy from like being yelled at and being told we had to sit with other people and like, no, you can't sit there, to just giddiness and everything is fine, and we're relating with other people that we don't know, but it's friendly and happy, and the power to transform, I think, any environment, even joking with a TSA agent, it can make something stressful better. And that was a big lesson to me, that even in a somewhat humorless country, we can create our own humor and bring it with us. And there's people who will join us if we show up with that.
Absolutely. And you know what I find is, like, especially, for instance, so you go in a grocery store and you're at the checkout line. Usually the cashiers, they're really stressed. And most of the time, they're not happy to be there. And who can blame them? I'm grateful they're there, because I hate the self-checkout, because for some reason,
yes.
it just, but I like the human interaction also,
Right.
and just to look at them and say, hey, how are you today? It's like, and the most of the time I get the reaction like, what? And I smile. I'm like, how are you? I'm so grateful you are here today. Most of the time, they really don't know what to do with that, because they don't get that. Usually people are just like, like short and it's like, oh, hurry up. That whole thing, which like it feeds upon feed. And it's like the cycle that doesn't end. Right. But you interrupt that, you have that pattern interrupt. And you just smile at them. It's like, how are you? Because here's the thing. Most of the time, even though they are there, they're not seen.
Yes.
They're not seen. And that's in any service industry or anywhere for that matter. Most of the time, people are not seen. But by you actually making that eye contact and smiling, and it's like, how are you? And then genuinely saying, it's like, thank you for being here. It's like, I do this with the waiters all the time. It's like, thank you so much for being here, for cooking for us, for doing all the dishes, waiting on us. And then the same thing with the cashiers, with the checkouts. When I go to get my coffee, I always tell them, thank you for being here today. Cost me nothing.
It gives you so much.
It gives so much, and it makes such a huge difference for that person. Again, I cannot tell you how many times they look at me and they genuinely smile and they say, thank you. I needed that. Thank you. You totally made my day. Thank you. Because of that, I know it's worth it for me being here.
Yeah, I'm so with you. I hate self-checkout. And so I've been joking, because I invariably need help. And the one person, I told her that when I applied to be a checker here, they wouldn't hire me. And then the other day I was like, where do I clock out now that I'm done working for your store? And it just makes their day. It just makes it more
Oh
fun.
yeah, and sometimes, when I'm done too, I'm like, oh, we're done here. You can go home now.
That's great.
And I laugh, and they look at me like, man, I wish, but no. And then they're like, I only have about this long, or my shift just started, and I wish them a great day.
Yes.
Whether their shift is over, their shift has just started, and it's like, hey, remember to smile, because everything is easier with a smile.
I do have a theory, like at Safeway. I think their self-checkout is designed to make people angry. And so it does.
I think every self-checkout is designed to make people angry. It doesn't matter where it is.
So it really takes extra energy. We have to bring that extra energy to not get sucked into that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And sometimes I pretend as like, because sometimes I only have like 2 things, and there's like long lines at the regular checkout, right? So I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I go up there and I make a game of it. Because, that way it's like, oh, and everything is going well, and we can do this, and then you have to punch it in 5 times. And it's like, oh, well, clearly I need to learn more on this, and I'm just like, have that conversation in my head versus, this is so stupid, this sucks, and da, 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 doing all of that, so I just make a game of it. And I look around, or I make a comment to somebody else. I'm like, yeah, they need to teach a class before you walk into the store how to use these things. And it's so funny, people are laughing. They're like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. And it's just for that moment, they forget about the anger, about the, whatever misery they're in right now, whether it's a self-checkout or whatever worries they have in that moment. You get them to laugh, they forget all about it. And in that very moment, and who knows, this might be the catalyst for them to turn the day around. You never know.
That's so important. Yeah. Because it's those little things, the smile, the laugh, the human attention. Yeah, like giving our affection to strangers is a beautiful way of not only enriching them, but the whole notion of giver's gain, that we
absolutely
get as much or more from being kind than the people we're being kind to.
Oh yeah, there's actually studies out. So I'm a big hugger. I mean, I live for hugs.
Okay? Oh, beautiful.
Hugs are awesome, but there are studies out there that show that as humans, we actually need, and I forgot how many
7
physical other human touches every single day for survival.
Yeah.
I know another guest I have coming on, her son, she adopted her son, and she's not the only one I know of, but it's like that child didn't have the love and the nourishment after he was born.
Yes.
Okay. And there's the condition called RAD, and reactive associate disorder, or something, what it is. But they're really acting out, and it's awful. And I've seen it. Not just, with her, but it's like we had a family member. I mean, it was just, it's not good, but because it didn't have that human touch, it didn't have that nourishment. It's like, and sometimes, like the kids in the orphanages, like from Russia or something, how a lot of them, they do this rocking.
Yeah.
It's a self-soothing kind of thing. It's because they didn't get that human touch. They didn't have that interaction, that nourishment, that love. So for me, it's really important to let people know, it's like, hey, I see you, and if you want a hug, I always have a hug.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. Because there's all this in psychology today that everything we want from others, we're responsible for giving to ourselves. But I think part of the reason COVID was so hard on so many people is this stay 6 feet away, when actually like our heart aura ends at like 5 feet. And so we're always outside of people's heart space, or outside of like the affection, or just virtually connected. And it's some level, like what you said, is the touch. You can't give it to yourself as effectively. And they did studies in Romanian orphanages. If you deprived a baby of touch for like 20 days, it would die. Like, it's that terrifying. And
exactly what I'm saying. It's like we need it for survival. We need that because at the end of the day, we're pack animals.
we are.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, we're pack animals. You know, it doesn't mean that we don't enjoy our solitude. I love my quiet time, my alone time. It's like, don't talk to me. I don't have coffee yet. Go away. You know, I love that. But at the same time, I also love and thrive around people and being surrounded by people, especially when they have like good, happy energy. Man, that charges my battery like nothing. It's like, oh, this is good. I want more of this. You know, but then at the same time, it's draining because it's like, because I give so much, you know, and then it's like, okay, I need my quiet time. And that's okay. It's okay. I mean, when you look at pack animals, okay, they're mostly in the herd or in the group or whatever, but you also see them every so often wandering off by themselves.
Yeah.
They're off to the side a little bit, but still close enough to everybody. And we're really no different.
That's beautiful, because I think it also just touches on self-acceptance. We have to just accept ourselves as we are, and accept ourselves when we need touch, and accept ourselves when we need our recharge solitude. And they're both part of being balanced. And it's the same, being happy also means allowing those other thoughts, but then not dwelling on them. It's that duality that it's all allowed, and we can keep coming back to the things we need the most.
I love that. Yeah, true. I love that. Hey guys, got to do another commercial break. We'll be right back. We are back. I'm here, your host, Beanie Man, with Mo, the service dog, who is somewhere MIA right now, and my awesome guest, Fleming. I'm not even going to pronounce the last name, Fleming. And tell us a little bit about that beautiful statue behind you. Did you get that on one of your travels? I bet you did.
Yes, that is a Thai welcome greeting, or hello, or I think this is also the symbol for the divinity in me sees the divinity in you.
Oh, the namaste.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. She's beautiful.
I bought that a long time ago in Phuket, Thailand, just before Phuket got wiped out by the tsunami they had.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's like, so it has even more meaning than I would have, for me it would. It's like, oh man. Tell us a little bit about your travel, because it's like, I can see a little gleam in your eyes when you talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, my trip to Thailand. So you love to travel? Is that your happy place?
It's interesting because I think it's happy and self-development. So I view the plane trip, it's kind of like detention. And so I'll bring a good self-help book, which could be like this one, but anything.
Hint.
And then I'll read on the flight and arrive with like new things I can practice, and I'll be somewhere new where people don't know me. So they don't expect me to show up as the Fleming they know. So I get to try new things without that feedback of like, that's not you. And so traveling is really great. And I think just checking into a hotel room where there's no clutter, it's beautiful to get away from like my habitual patterns and my possessions that kind of anchor me as the person I am now, and to experiment like what else is possible.
I love that. So you study a little bit of the language too then, or you just go like, well, I'm not going to attempt that part?
I think some languages for me are easier than others. Like I speak some Spanish, so Italian isn't that much of a stretch. Thai is a stretch.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. One thing that I have found, which is universal, there's two things, well, probably more, but two big things that are really universal. Music is one. Okay. Smile.
Smiles. And Thailand is known as the land of smiles because
See, smiles is like, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. It does not matter. If you smile, people are more likely to help you. And if you try, at least try, they will help you. And it was funny because on that note, just like, oops, squirrel. I was teaching conversational German when we were stationed in Germany, in Bamberg on post there. And I told my class two things. First of all, I said, when you speak German, think Klingon. Half the class laughed. The other class looked at me like, what? So it's like, so I knew who my people were. It's like, you are my people, my Klingons, that understand, and the others will teach you. But I said, so that was one thing. And I said, and the other thing was, it doesn't matter where you go. If you make an effort to speak just a little bit, and even if you ask in German or whatever the local language is, if they speak English in their language, they'll be more inclined to help you because everybody speaks English. They have some English, or they know somebody they can get, but they are more likely to help you and go out of their way and really scrape together what little English they have. Versus if you go in, say you come in a German store and I'm in there and just like, you speak English, I would tell you no. And I grew up in Germany. I would tell you no.
It's so true. It's about vulnerability, because if I'm willing to make a fool of myself by butchering a foreign language that I don't speak well, then people are willing to reciprocate by speaking English, however poorly they might speak it. Mm-hmm. But there's this, if I'm willing to look stupid by saying something totally wrong, then people are willing to help me and just not trying to like be on my A game of, oh, you must speak English because I speak it well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the other thing to me is respect. Because if you come to me, say we're Germany right now. Okay, you come in and you ask me in however broken German if I speak English. Okay. I would feel respected. I would feel honored because you're making the effort. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
It's like, so so you don't come in with a sense of entitlement, like, hey, I'm here now, you help me. Say it's a store. Okay.
Yeah.
But you come in and you see me as another human being who is here to help you. And you come at me with however broken it is. Oh, and Entschuldigung, sprechen Sie English? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I can really do a good broken German accent too. But it makes a whole difference because first of all, I'm looking at you like, yes, I speak a little bit, but it's not good.
And then it's playful.
Right.
When you're like, I remember somebody gave me a ride to like the border of Poland. And then I was trying to figure out how to get to the train station. I was like, choo choo. And the guy was like, what? And then I was like, I found a piece of paper. I was trying to draw a train. He's like, what are you doing? Like, what are those?
We're playing charades now.
But it's that, like, it's like the curiosity, like what you're talking about, like, oh, isn't that curious? And then it's fun. And then there's a human interaction of vulnerability, even though we can't understand each other. Body language about fun and laughter is universal.
It is absolutely. And the thing too is like, we find a way to communicate. Even if we don't speak the same language, there's a way you can communicate. And again, it start with a smile. And choo-choo. Everybody understands choo-choo because a train kind of makes the same sound everywhere you go.
They didn't. I was really perplexed.
And then there's that.
What sound does a train make in Polish? I don't know.
No, but I mean certain things. So it's like when you want to talk about a dog.
That's true.
You make the dog sound, or a cat or whatever.
Although in German,
you find that common denominator and you build from there.
That's very true.
Because then you're looking for more to understand that other person is looking for more. And
Right?
that's how you built it. And
That
it's
is
so
so
much
true.
fun. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun because some of the things that come out of, at the end, we're both laughing because you with the train station, you laugh because you knew what you wanted. They may have a completely different idea. Somehow you still ended up getting where you needed to go, but it's like, but it's fun. And here's what's really cool. You made a new friend. You may not ever see that person again, but energetically you will always be connected.
That's really beautiful.
And that person, and it's like you have that memory and you just shared that with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That person is like probably went to his friends or her friends, and it's like, you're never gonna believe what this was just like, wow, and while they're telling it, you can see, you were telling the story and your smile got bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you added more happiness to you, to me, to our audience, because it's fun. See how that works?
Yes.
Happiness does matter. It's so cool. I like it. So what else do you do for fun when you're not traveling? I'm nosy. I want to know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not nosy. I'm curious.
You're curious. No, that's a great word. It's funny. I do yoga and I ride a Harley, and I love both, and they seem contradictory, but they're both.
I was going to say, like, what? Good for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's like, keep them guessing. Keep them guessing.
That's right. It's just, break the mold. Do what I want rather than what like this clique of people does or that clique of people.
Cliques don't work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love home remodeling. Like at my house, I'm always making something nicer. And early on, I started only working on other people's houses because that was where the financial security came from. But lately, I've been really embracing that I'm worthy of having nice things too, and really making my palace beautiful. And that's been a big shift and a really beautiful part for me.
I love that. Hey guys, we're gonna have to take another commercial break. We'll be right back. We're back here, your host Beanie Man and Mother Service Dog, and my awesome guest Fleming. And you just shared a little something during the break with me when you were 17 about happiness, which is like, happiness matters. Here we are.
Yeah, and I feel happiness is a choice. So when I was 17, I had a pretty severe argument with my mom, and I ended up just packing my stuff and leaving my parents' house, and actually not having communications with my mom for like 6 years after that. But as I left the house, I was walking along the side of the graveyard, and I had this realization that happiness or sadness is actually a choice. Like that was kind of a stressful moment for me, and I was going to stay with a friend for a while, and everything was really indeterminate how it was going to end up for me. And I realized really I get to choose how I show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's that famous quote, I've had many troubles in my life and most of them never happened. And so I think sometimes just talking to really elder people or walking by a graveyard, we realize that we're all finite and we get to choose how we spend our moments, but most people don't realize how much choice we have. Mm-hmm. And I think happiness is kind of a muscle that we get to exercise or we don't. And I think a big part of exercising our happiness muscle, because it's easy to be happy when you win the lottery or something like that, but that doesn't happen very often. And so
Yeah, but see, the thing is, that's stuff that doesn't make you happy.
right.
That does not make you happy.
Doesn't keep you happy. Yeah.
It doesn't keep you happy. I mean, unless you choose to
Yeah.
be happy. I always say happiness is a choice. It comes from within. I choose to be happy. Everything else is just icing. It just adds to my happiness.
Yeah. And I think the real practice is to be happy for the small things.
Mhm.
Like you smile at me and oh, that's a little jolt of like endorphins in my body. And it's those things of the things we often don't know to appreciate. The more we can practice gratitude for those, the more we also practice the gratitude muscle for the big moments of happiness.
Absolutely. And again, what goes around comes around.
Yes, yes.
It's all connected. You know, if you can be happy over small things, and what started for me, and I wrote about that in my book. So actually my first book I wrote is Happiness Matters. Unleash your superpower in 7 easy steps. Because to me, happiness really is our superpower. Because when we're happy, everything else is just better. I'm not saying everything is great. I mean, there's not everything is great in my life. It's like I'm struggling with health issues and everything, you know, but it doesn't take away from my happiness. It's just something I'm dealing with, but it makes dealing with it a lot easier.
Yes, a therapist a long time ago told me that when we're in a stressful state, to realize, is anything killing us right now? And often I've caught myself like sitting in the sun, having my lunch and thinking about a stressful thing. And I wasn't aware I was sitting in the sun having a delicious lunch. Like
Right.
To really be present now. And if we celebrate this sweet moment, the next moment is more likely to be sweet.
Absolutely. Well, and the sad thing is we're so conditioned to go the negative route because we're bombarded with so much negativity, you know, and I tell people it's like it takes exactly the same effort to go the positive route. It's just you have to pay a little bit more attention to it, but the energy output, the effort really is the same. The negative route, it's because it's habitual. It's on autopilot. We automatically go down that negative route, the what if down. You know, we imagine everything that could go wrong.
Yes.
And we're going down that route. Well, if we
I
go
think
the other way and do the what if up and imagine everything that could go right, you know, try that, guys. It's like, pay attention how you feel. Pick a scenario. Say you have to talk to your boss about something. Okay. And you go the what if down. Say you want to ask for a raise. That's just for giggles, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You want to talk to your boss about a raise. Get more money. I mean,
yeah,
it's reasonable, right? So in your head, you create this conversation and it's going negative. So
sure.
He's telling you no, he might blow a gasket, you know, whatever you imagine, do that.
Yeah, because our grandparents prepared us to think of the negative so we're ready for it.
Right.
And theoretically, we should be happy if the negative doesn't happen, but we never learned the happiness for the negative not happening because that doesn't really work.
Right. But here's the thing. So same scenario.
Yeah.
Now you do the what if up.
You
have the same you have the conversation with your boss, you go in, but now you imagine it's going the way you want it to.
You're creating it. That is the rehearsal for creating your reality.
Exactly. Because what we think about, we bring about. It's that simple, right? And then notice within how you feel. Pay attention how you feel when you do the what if down. Pay attention how you feel when you do the what if up. Because it's the feeling that you put out that's attracting.
That's brilliant. I just listened to an audiobook on Stoicism.
Oh, you can send me my check later. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm going to buy your book. I will buy your book. But yeah, I listened to an audiobook on Stoicism, which is kind of having a resurgence, but they have a practice, the pensum malorum, the thinking of bad things so that you're not as destroyed when they happen. And that goes so against the law of attraction and just creating a reality that we actually want rather than a reality we don't want. And it's interesting that this kind of, poor thinking is still being taught today and is actually having a resurgence.
because that's the way it's always been, be prepared for the worst. I'm like, no, let me prepare for the best.
Yeah.
It's like shoot for the moon, you will land in between the stars. It's still better than where you're at right now. But if you're already going from a low point to a lower point, how can you come up?
Because I'm terrible at sports. I think I
No, you're not. Don't say that.
myself.
You're awesome. You're getting better.
Thank you. I love that. But I may have practiced what my grandmother taught me about, like, what happens if this goes wrong. Where if you read interviews with the Olympic athletes or pro golfers, they imagine that perfect putt and then they execute. And I think it's almost that everything is created twice. First, it's in our mind, and then it happens in real life. But if we think of the bad things, we're more likely to have the bad things in life. And if we think of the good things, we're much more likely to have good things. And we feel better, which just makes other people interact better. So there's no reason not to have the best possible scenario.
Right. I love it. One of the exercises, a friend of mine, she made me do that. So she's a shaman, and some of the things she's asking me to do, I look at her, I'm like, what now? I do it.
I love having people like that in my life.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. But one of the exercises she had me do a few years ago is write out my life in 3 different ways. The way it is right now, and then the future, how it is if nothing changes, or if I change just a little bit. Okay. And then the absolute best case scenario. Pick one day in the future and you write the best case scenario, how it is right now. So you have 3 different stories, 3 different timelines. And I've been doing this periodically. And it boggles my mind. It really boggles my mind, because when you write it, you put your feeling in it. You use all your senses. When you write it, don't just write it for the writing's sake to get it over with. Put in all the senses. Use all the senses, all your emotions, and really visualize it.
Yeah.
And then you put it away, let it go. Because the trick is with law of attraction, don't attach to the outcome. Okay, you just put it away. And then I'm going back every once in a while. I find it because I put them in like this journal or there, or I mean, it's everywhere. Every once in a while I found one, I was like, oh, let me see, and I'm looking at it and I was like, oh, wow, this happened. Just as I wrote it down, or similar to it. It's so powerful. I mean, we are the authors of our story. We create our life. We create our story. Things happen, but here's the thing: we really attracted them. And I've learned that was a hard lesson. I was like, why am I attracting this? This is stupid. But now that I understand, it's like, oh, what do I need to work on in me so that doesn't repeat? So my friend also taught me that. It's like, but anyway, but it's really important to understand that.
Yeah. So, I had a similar experience a long time ago. I made some almost mantras. And at the beginning, I didn't believe it was possible. And so I used like a mala, 108 beads, to say it 108 times each day for like maybe a couple months. And then I put it away and I found it recently and I'm like, that came true. But initially I didn't even believe it was possible. And then by repetition and like sleeping over and just saying it 108 times a day, I kind of got into like, yeah, it's conceivable. And then it just happened.
Well, because here's the thing too. It's like you tell something often enough, it becomes your belief and it becomes a habit. And it's ingrained in you, whether it's true or not. I mean, a lie told often enough doesn't become truth. It's a lie, but people believe it.
Yeah.
Simply because it was told often enough, and then other people bought into it. And it's the same when we're telling. It's like, and with I did mantras for a long time, and it's like, why are they not working? Well, I learned there's a way of doing them to kind of trick your subconscious, because if you say a mantra, I am rich. You can say that all you want. Your subconscious is like, but you're not.
Right.
Okay. But if you change it to, I am open to be rich, for instance, now your subconscious can't fight it because you are open to be rich. You would love to be rich.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, and it's those little tweaks that I learned over time. I was like, huh. And once I started changing just a little bit, I was like, it's working.
Yeah. That's interesting because there are limiting beliefs around all that. And I have the same thing. I have family members who are less successful than me, and I don't want to lose their love. And I feel like if I really outshine them by a lot, I would lose that love. And so I hold myself back.
But then is it love?
That's a good
I'm just
point.
putting that
That's a
out there.
good point.
Food for
Yeah.
thought. Is it love? Hey guys, this is the end of our show. Hey Fleming, if people want to
Yeah.
get a hold of you, thank you first of all so
Oh,
much for being on my show. This is awesome. I feel like we can talk many more hours. Maybe you need to come back as a guest some other time.
oh, I'd love
Anyway,
to. Yeah.
so if
Be my
people want to get a
pleasure.
hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, that's a great question. Rentalrealestatebook.com.
That's easy
It's a
enough.
mouthful.
That's awesome. I love it. Fleming, thank you so much for being on the show, being my guest. This was fun. This was awesome. Hope you guys got a lot out of this. There was a lot of nuggets in here. I learned a few things too. So, but
Beanie,
stay tuned.
thank you.
Oh,
Beanie, you're the
stay
best.
tuned.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a quick commercial break, and then I'll be back with the tip for the week. Thank you. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for hanging around just a little bit longer for the tip of the week. And the tip of the week is be the reason someone believes in the goodness of people. That goes right along with the conversation that Fleming and I had about just be kind, be nice. It doesn't take much. It costs you nothing to smile, to say a kind word, to pay a compliment. It costs you nothing. But it will make such a huge difference for the receiver, but it will also make a difference for you. When you pay attention how you feel when you do kind things for other people, and it doesn't have to be grand gestures. Okay, it can be just really as simple as a smile, a kind word, a hey, a genuine hey, how are you? Okay, doesn't take much. And remember, to get good, you have to do good. And the more good you do, the more good you will get. Because that karma thing, what goes around comes around, it really, truly works in every direction. You do good, you get good. Think about that. And next time somebody is lashing out at you, instead of going right into lashing back at them, stop for a second, take a deep breath, count to 10, and understand that unless you really screwed up, okay, there's that. But more times than not, it has nothing to do with you. They're coming from their own place of misery. And they're just lashing out because you just happened to be there and you were that one little drop that made the glass spill over. Had nothing to do with you. Okay. So show them compassion. Tell them it's like, hey, I'm really sorry you're having a hard time. Is there anything I can do for you? Can I help you? And just smile at them. Try it next time. It'll be awesome. So, hey guys, we also have a store. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Or you can buy awesome merchandise, like, for instance, a face mask. Yes. Or beanie hats, or cups and mugs, or t-shirts, or all kinds of shirts. Just go check it out. It's happysupplyshop.com, and just look around. Maybe you'll find something to spread the happiness, because I really would love for this to be a movement. Hashtag happiness matters, because happiness really does matter, and it makes all the difference. So yeah, check it out. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow Mo. Yes, Mo has his own Facebook page. He has his own Instagram, and it's Mo, M-O, the service dog. or you can follow Matters of Perspective, where I post daily posts and everything, or join our group, Happiness Matters, just like the little happy guy. You can't miss it. So yeah, that's on Facebook. And if you missed last week's episode, you can always go to mupotv.com to catch the last episode. And of course, stay tuned for next week. And you also, I want to invite you to check out all the other shows that are available on mupotv.com. Who knows? There's always such good stuff. There's so much good information, and it's just a good time. So yeah, until next time, remember, be happy, be kind, be love. Have a great one. Bye.